Ambassador Parthasarathy, what really explains this belligerence of China? We are seeing that only because Nancy Pelosi went to Japan, there is this reaction that has come against Japan. Should India be worried?
No, I don't think there's any reason for us to worry. We have a good relationship with Taiwan and we manage it properly. Yes, our members of parliament go there occasionally, meet them, and it's a good relationship which will continue, and we're one of the very few in Asia who have that sort of relationship with Taiwan. Now, here I think really you must remember that Xi Jinping goes to Parliament soon. We're going to get a lifetime extension if word from Beijing is to go by. Now,
obviously, in such a situation, if the U.S. speaker lands up in Taiwan, which is unusual, you've not had a speaker for a very long time, and there is this to China policy, but with very clear understandings between the two sides. So China, Xi Jinping used this as a good opportunity with it. He had to behave in a very macho manner. And I think by and large, there has been a lot of understanding behind the scenes between the US and China on this, that each will play his own cards. As I said, Biden could not pull back. He's already seen as a weak president, and
yes,
he's in the United States. So I think what has worked out is what suits everybody. China, Xi Jinping shows his macho, artillery shelling across Taiwan, flying a fighter aircraft, and let me tell you, the analysis we have is that no way they can take on the American F-16 supplied by the United States to Taiwan. So that happens. It pleases also.
So, Ambassador Parthasarathy, are you then of the opinion that after Pelosi exits Asia, all this drill will end?
No, it will continue for another day or two. After all, Xi Jinping has to make his point to his own electorate. Taiwan emerges firm and strong that they stood. And Biden will claim that, look, so she made our viewpoint, and we got our fleet deployed all around. So I think we must understand that behind the scenes in such issues, there are serious negotiations which you don't know about. I mean, I've seen it when we have been in conflict. I was in Pakistan. We were having a chat with them on what to do or what not to do. It is very normal in a situation which is escalating, which really nobody wants the situation to get out of hand, that this sort of talks will be going on behind the scenes. I'm certain the Pentagon is in touch with all the other countries, its counterparts in Taiwan and China. So I think this will continue for 2 days, at least. Heavy shelling, news of how tough Xi Jinping is, news how the Taiwanese stood up, and the Americans will go back. But as I said, in my view...
so you are foreseeing perhaps a win-win situation from all the sides.
Everybody is talking about a win-win situation. You talk to the Chinese, every second word they talk is win-win situation.
Okay. And it's also about one man's political ambition that has always been the case in history, be it Putin or here Xi Jinping. Laura, come in on this. Politically, China-Taiwan reunification is core of the CCP's political vision and internal political tussle. Xi Jinping needs to take a heroic action to silence his rivals in the party and win backing for his third presidential term later this year. So he understands what this messaging is, and that's what Ambassador Parthasarathy was highlighting. He is hopeful that perhaps it will all end in the next 2 days, and this will not really escalate to a level that what we saw in the case of invasion by Russia of Ukraine.
Yeah, obviously, we all hope it won't escalate, especially in the coming days. Again, we have to thank the responsible actions of other nations for that, including Taiwan and not China, obviously. Let's also not talk about reunification, but about annexation, which is exactly the plan that Xi Jinping has laid out several times. I also wish to highlight what was said actually yesterday or the day before by the Chinese ambassador to France, who went on public television to actually declare that, you know, after this so-called reunification, which is obviously their propaganda, they would follow re-education of the Taiwanese people. Now, we all know what this means. We've seen the re-education going on in Xinjiang. We know what's happening in Tibet. We know what's happening all over mainland China. What is happening increasingly also in Hong Kong. And I think, again, this highlights why, you know, Pelosi's visit was so important, not only because of Nancy Pelosi and her position itself, but because of the message it wanted to send, the message of standing with the people of Taiwan, of standing for freedom, of standing for democracy, of standing for human rights. So there is so much at stake, not only for Taiwan, but for the wider world. And we all need to stand up to the Chinese Communist Party, and we cannot be bullied by these sort of tactics, which is why it's so important. We don't buy into the propaganda. We don't feed it. We all remain calm as much as we can. And we take the example of the Taiwanese people who are behaving really, I think, exemplary throughout this whole crisis. And I also wish to commend actually Japan today, who remained very calm. Obviously, they made diplomatic representations, but I think that's the kind of action we're looking for from responsible nations, unlike, once again, the People's Republic of China, notwithstanding everything it tries to say to the global audiences. It's very clear who's escalating, and obviously we hope there will be soon an end to this, but I fear that that we'll at least look at some low intensity warfare from China.
Okay, Ambassador Parthasarathy,
forward, also because
Ambassador Parthasarathy, given the propaganda war that is happening, and there has been propaganda video that was put out by Taiwan, another one by China. I'm just going to rewind in time. And the flashpoint behind the 1996 China-Taiwan missile test fire in Taipei was then Taiwan President Lee Teng-hui's visit to US in 1995 just to attend an alumni celebration at Cornell University. One may say it was completely innocuous. This was just an alumni celebration, but it became a flashpoint. And this time it is far bigger. There is a diplomatic visit, first in 25 years.
Well, let me put one thing to the favor of Taiwan. I don't think China dares to attack Taiwan. Taiwan is the world's best producer of semiconductors, which everybody loves, whether it's the Indians, the Americans, or the Chinese. So therefore, to expect China to knock off Taiwan in a military assault is, I think, cutting one's nose to spite one's face. As I said, I'm a great admirer. I've been to Taiwan several times of their semiconductor industry. I hope we can cooperate with them. So Taiwan has its assets. Let's not forget that. And China's greatest economic asset, Taiwan's today, is its semiconductor industry. Even the Americans can't manage in several places without it. So, as I said, this is really what the Chinese talk about, a win-win situation. And I think as far as Taiwan's credit goes, it makes it very clear that, okay, they may not recognize them politically, but Taiwan is a factor which India wants to cooperate with in this field. So, as I said, as you said, win-win. Everybody, a day or two from now,
or a low-intensity war, as Laura is sensing.
Unless something unexpected happens.
Unless something unexpected. Fine enough.